Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to, or good afternoon, I should say, over in the States. It's evening over here in the United Kingdom. We have got round 2 tonight of the Transatlantic Triple Crown Series with Half Fast Gaming, and tonight we are at Imola with its wonderful 17 turns in Italy. Last week we were at Paul Ricard and we had some racing from start to finish, and I'm sure we're going to see a similar case this evening with a very familiar grid. 20 cars on the grid are in their warm-up at the moment. Of course, they've qualified throughout the week, and I will take you through that starting grid shortly. I'm going to leave you down here at the Tamburello chicane, and I will be back for the start of the race, but I will leave you with this view for the time being. Harry, just a thought, you will be a bit laggy at the start because it's an American server. It will stabilise for the race when they switch over. I just remembered that Ian said the same thing last week. I forgot it's on the American server. Thank you, Chris. I just realised that. I don't think I said anything that would cause too much of an issue, did I? So, good evening then, and welcome to round 2 of our transatlantic everything league, really. We've got GT4 cars, we have got Super Trofeos, and of course we have got the Porsche Super Cup as well. The wonderful spinning cars. Let me just switch my system back off automatic. You can hear Harry in chat. Should be able to hear Harry in chat. I will look at that in a second. So, okay, we'll jump our way down the grid now. I promise you, we do know what we're doing here. So, we've got Porsches obviously at the front. We've got Yerst, who is in P1 by a significant margin, 2 seconds gap. So, we are expecting him to drive off into the sunset again, as he did previously. I'm just going to mute my Discord channel. 1 second. There we go. So he will drive off, but again he'll be chased down by Jeff and Arjitsu as well in the Porsches as well. And we've got Grouse or Gross. I apologise for the mispronunciations. If you weren't racing last week, you will have to correct me in the wonderful YouTube chat if you've got people watching, or you've got it open yourself. You bring up the YouTube chat. Moving further down the grid then towards the Super Trofeos, we have got Andres on pole for the Super Trofeos. He won last week's race with that amazing strategy that we saw. We've then got Gar again, gave an excellent battle with Springbrook at the beginning of the race. Moving further down, we've got Matthews in that wonderful Lamborghini livery. It looks amazing. It is my favourite. I have mentioned it a few times and I will mention it throughout the race. Bit further back then, we've got Hulbert there in the other Super Trofeo, car 329, excellent livery there. On the right, we've got Bradbury again. Gave a fantastic battle with this man here, 111 Chris Davis Springbrook last week. Unfortunately, connection issues meant he couldn't finish, otherwise he was on for a potential class win during the Poor Ricard race. Moving further down the grid then, we have got Mr. One and Only Jackie Harris, HFG's one and only, car 159 there, and then the 739 car as well of Bradbury as well. Moving a bit further down the line, we've got the GT4s, we've got Ian Hall there in the BMW 88. Moving further down then, I'm running out of time now, so we're going to move down towards the Chevrolet there, looking wonderful on the grid. GT4s at the back. Some great liveries this week. And then we've got further down the back here, we're going to see the cars head off now towards the sunset. Let's jump back on the rear wing of some of these cars as they go off on their formation lap of this 3-mile circuit, Imola, which is a fantastic circuit, as I'm sure you would agree. On the rear wing of Yerst there as he sets off. Other cars a little bit slow to take off there at the beginning. Matthews again with all his support in the YouTube channel there. He's not short of support, and it paid him well last week, so hopefully he pays off again this week. We're in for a bit of a treat around this circuit. It's one of my personal favourites. We're right on board with Yes now. I'll turn the volume up and you can listen to him as he goes around the circuit. So as we come towards the back end of this circuit, then a particular favourite complex of mine, which is of course the turns 9, 10 up to 11 in the chicane, which just is approaching to now. Let's just give you a different camera angle of what that looks like. I'm just going to turn one of my graphics settings off as well, which hopefully will alleviate that ghosting as well, because in broadcast mode motion blur, it's already off, does not look good because it blurs the car, so hopefully that will solve that problem. And yes, brings us up here. What we're now going to do is we're going to jump off the car with yes, and we're going to head down towards turn 1. Well, hopefully there's no carnage, but secretly we hope there's a little bit, just to make the spectators reasoning. So let's position ourselves here as the drivers now make their way around turn 15 towards that very long straight, which will see them receive the green flag for the start of this 75-minute race. Remember, there is one pit stop up on the jacks and straight down. No requirement to change tyres or refuel. Some drivers may wish to do so, as we saw in the previous week's race. Some paid off and others didn't. Track temperature 37, air temperature 31, what you'd expect in an Italian circuit. Let's see how them tyres fare. Some pit stops may have to happen. Worth noting that Fernandez is starting from the pits. He did not make it to his grid box in time. Remember, if you're on the chat, you want to have a chat about something or anything like that, I'm on my own this evening, so by all means pop it in the chat and we can have a look at it. But let's see what happens now, as the drivers have seen the green flag for the first time this evening. Hopefully that's the only green flag they see, and that means we should avoid any incidents at all. So Joost leads the way by a comfortable margin. Great start. He comes through the Tamburello chicane now, followed by Jitsu, followed by Jeff. Jeff's managed to get a great start there, the Super Patrol. Awful start there by Grouse in the Porsche as they now make their way. Who's that off at the start already? Not a bad start. One place made up by Velez. There is Fernandez coming down now. Let's jump on board with the front runners. Go on board with the helicopter cam and see what's going on further up the track as they come in towards the Villeneuve complex as well. Lamborghini's having a nice fight there. Chris Springbrook playing things a little bit safe. Last week he had a fantastic race. He was very feisty. That in at Max Verstappen came out and board with him, right on board with him now as they go up towards the turn 8 complex, turning left, sweeping left again into the right, right again up towards the chicane. Opportunity there, which he managed to take hold of there by Bradbury as he goes round the other side of Kurt Bradbury in towards turn 9 and 10. Really easy to unsettle the car through this particular part of the track. Run it wide but without getting the track limit warning as he goes now up towards the chicanes of turn 11 and turn 12. Let's see what that looks like from the helicopter as they come up towards it now. Got to get your braking point right here. We've still got that concertina effect of the cars in front. So far that's a pretty clean start for everybody. Yes, you can see that advantage that he's managed to gain already on this rear wing. You can see that 1.5 second advantage as he brings it way into the double left-hander of turns 14 and 15. Foot flat on the floor all the way now to the straight. riding on board with his bonnet cam. In fact, let's go inboard on his dashboard. Cut as much of the right hand side here you can without getting the track warning, and it's foot flat all the way down now towards the Tamburello complex of the circuit. You'll see how quickly he hooks these corners up now in this Porsche. Spoke to Joost earlier, he's expecting to visit some gravel at some point this evening, especially with a track temperature of 37. He just outbrakes himself a little bit there, goes too deep, uses the sleeping policeman there to slow himself down, manages to get it back under control without running wide there into turn 4, where it can absolutely eat you alive. Jeff is his next nearest opponent, who is 1.7 seconds back on this particular occasion. You can just see the gap there that Joost is breaking out already. You'd expect these Porsches to be a lot further down the line now. Zach Grouse there having a particularly not great start. He's P5 and he's stuck behind the Lamborghini Trofeo of Enderez, who we saw win the class last week. He's also going to have Drew Matthews behind him for company if he does not get his way underway very shortly. The Logitech rear wing there of the Super Trofeo of Drew Matthews. Jumping on board with him now. You can see he's linking the corners up, and if you go on board with his bonnet there, you can see that Porsche is saying, please come and overtake me. Joost gap now 1.6 seconds as he goes in towards sector 3 of the circuit. Two people in the pits already. They are Zachary Sheng and Felipe Sorna in the pits, cars 27 and 61. Still riding on board with Drew Matthews in as he goes towards the start-finish line there. Echo on stream should be all good now, Joe, if you're still watching. My iPad was on in the background, didn't realise it was playing on there as well. All professional here tonight, as you can imagine. Jumping on board with some of these back runners. Now let's jump on board with Alberto Fernandez, who is catching up with back. Bear in mind he started from the pit lane, so he has capitalised what was a pretty bad situation for him so far. Harry Bella's there in P20, car number 55, that McLaren. He's been working on that livery this afternoon. Let's jump with his off-board camera, see what that looks like. And he's got Zach Grouse there for company in that Porsche. Harry going particularly wide there. That's a very interesting line. Not one I would personally take, but it's whatever suits the driver, I guess. He comes in towards the Tamburello chicane there now. Did well to keep that out of the gravel, dragging him in. Ian Hall there, Pinky. He won the QRT's inaugural race on Saturday, yesterday. Leading from lap 6 onwards, he went for a finish. What's he going to do today? Can he win the class again? He's leading. So far, he's got Cross in front of him in the Porsche, and I'm sure he's going to be hunting that down as soon as he can. Darren Bradbury then, let's see where he is at this particular moment in time. Car number 7, 3 and 9. Surrounded by Lamborghinis. You've got Jackie Harris for company there, but he's just keeping it in front, putting it exactly where he needs to put it, and keeping it on the right line. We've got a yellow flag on track, unable to see who that is at this moment in time. Might be Ian Hall, it isn't. It's Kurt Bradbury. Kurt Bradbury has gone off in the turns 9 and 10 complex. I did say earlier that is a very difficult part of the track to keep the car stable because it's off camber and rolls off. Can't hear anything now, says Joe. Well, I can definitely hear it through. It's coming through on the telly, alright, so I don't know whether that's your end or not, but anybody else in the chat can let me know if the sound quality is okay. I can look at that if not, but I'm going to carry on as if it is, because everything tells me everything looks okay as it stands. Luke Garr, P6 as it stands, 6/10 up on his 4th lap. Got Drew Matthews in his sight, but more importantly, he's got Chris Springbrook on his backside looking to make a move. Let's ride on board with him while I look at some of these sound issues apparently. That is all sound issues resolved then. Poor wording from the colleague of mine in the chat. If I told you what it did as a job, you wouldn't believe that his communication had to be perfect. So moving swiftly on, let's see exactly what my timing screen is saying. Yes, is now got a 3-second gap. Bit dusty there, I don't know who's been off, nothing in front of him, so maybe that was just the camera angle. Let me bring up the chat back up so I can see what's going on there. Jeff now P3, Ajitsu's managed to get past him. He'll be happy with P3. And Steve Enderez not far behind him as well. Them Super Trofeos just starting to show their power now as the gap between them and the Porsches as they run off into the sunset. Drew Matthews, P5, particularly good pace at the moment, lapping in the low 49s, which is the pace of those all around him. Luke Garr, again, not far behind, and lapping again in the mid 49, so one mistake from Drew and he can say goodbye to that P5 position, but he is lapping slightly slower, so all Drew's got to do is connect his laps up one by one and he'll break himself into a nice little gap. Chris Davis there, keeping up with the two Lamborghinis in front. He's lapping in the high 49, so again, representative of his pace. Next nearest thing to Chris is David Hulbart, who is lapping in the 51, so again, don't expect too much company there, Chris. You just focus on the race in front of you, and we might get somewhere and some action that we saw last week. Let's go further towards back of grid. Matthew Mudd then in his Porsche, car number 511, as they are now going up towards the turns 8 and 9. Which is the best part of the track, but equally the most unforgiving. Jackie Harris is 1 second up on this lap. He is in P9. Does it look like he's got some damage on that Lamborghini? No, it must have just been the camera angle. Car 159 then make its way through the chicanes of turns 11 and 12. Back part of the track goes downhill, double left-hander. Again, very easy to get it wrong. There's a very nasty gravel trap waiting to eat some cars. It's a little bit peckish at times throughout a race, as you'll see. We'll jump on board with his bonnet. You'll see what I mean here. One mistake there in the braking point and you're in that gravel trap on the right, and it's an absolute pain to get out of. And when you've got Aaron Cross and Darren Bradbury right behind you with Ian Hall waiting to pounce, that's not a mistake you can afford to make. Although Jackie is in the Super Trofeos, the GT4s are keeping up with him at this moment in time. Oswald Wilson here, P13, car number 86 in that Ginetta. Doing very well to handle this car. It's not a particularly great one to drive, but it's always one that is worth seeing on track. Remember, these drivers have got pit stops they have to serve, but they're not forced to make any changes during that. White flag on track, Jeff 242. Looks like Jeff, maybe he had a slight off. That gap has opened up a little bit more. Made his way back up into P2. Still see Yersin in front, stretching his legs. But as we expected, Yersin stretching off into that lead for that series win. Chris Davis, P7, right on the back of this Lamborghini now. This is going to be a really interesting, spicy fight. Got to get these two corners absolutely bang on, as the run down into the chicane is vital through sector 3. A little bit messy on the exit there. He'd like to have had that a bit smoother. You can see that Lamborghini in front just stretching its legs there, using that advantage of Chris running slightly wide towards turn 10 through 12. Oh, he's overcooked on the curb. Just too much curb on the entry there. He's going to get it going again. He's too keen on the throttle. Nice and easy, Chris. Otherwise, it's going to take you a while to get going again. You'll be disappointed with that spin. It was looking so promising. David Hulbert has said, thank you very much. I'll take advantage of that spin. Looks like Chris is still stationary on the track, as he can't get things going again. He's struggling to get the power down. I don't blame him though, because the traffic coming through now is horrendous. He couldn't have possibly got there at a worse time. He's going to have to stay still for a moment. We'll leave him to that as Drew Matthews crosses the line to start his 7th lap of this race. Yellow flag still in sector 2. And we know where that's come from. Yerst is now P3. He must have had a spin. So there's anyone that betted on Yerst having that spin in the gravel trap. You've got it. So he's now on a recovery drive. So that yellow flag now cleared for Chris Davis, who is behind Jackie Harris running in P11. May drop down to P12 as well, which he has done as well. But no, it's no worry. He loves a recovery drive. I would say that sometimes he spins on purpose because it brings the best out in him. Jeff, 3/10 up on this particular occasion. Got Yerst for company, running on board with his rear wing there as he comes through this very technical sector of the track. Down the hill, double right-hander, got to be absolutely smooth through here, otherwise Yerst will have a run at him in towards turns 11 and 12 of the chicane, which is where we saw Chris take a little bit too much curb on the entry. Looks like Chris is going to serve his pit stop. He's going to go for the undercut and try and run long. So that's his strategy decided for him now. curb, curb, perfect. Not too much, get too greedy on him, you spin around. Running back on board with Jeff then, you can see our Jitsu's in front of him. He's only 4 seconds behind now, and that gap was 6. Yost will be keen to get past Jeff to try and get that lead back if he can, but what damage has he done to them tyres from that spin that happened off camera? We have only been racing for 12 minutes and we have had a change of lead, change of class lead, and a few yellow flags. What is the next hour going to bring? Moving our way back down to the back of the list, we've got Chris Davis in the pits, who is serving his pit stop now. As we mentioned earlier, Fernandez, he is in P20. Remember, he started from the pit lane, so he was at a disadvantage straight away as he's running the McLaren GT4 car. Harry Bellez in P18, started absolutely plumb last on the grid. He'll be happy with P18 so far. The McLaren number 55 moving its way in towards the complex of turn 8. Running a little bit wide there, you need to be careful of his track limits. Zach Grouse there in the Porsche Cup cars. He turns in towards turns 15. He needs to be nice and neat on the entrance here, as you can just see them cars in front of him. He's going to try and catch Ian Hall, P11. Again, Pinky87, the streamer that we all know and love. He's in that wonderful M4 as he comes down now towards the Tamburello complex. Max and Lewis went side by side here at the start of the F1 season last year. We're not yet to see any side by side action into there yet, but I'm sure some will come, especially as Yost is on the back of Jeff. He's currently got the fastest lap with a 1:47 dead. Jeff's fastest lap is a 47.2, so it is only a matter of time before that Porsche is on the back of Jeff. Back on board with his rear wing then, just a bit too far back to make a move on the chicane. We know Yost will make a move as soon as he can. Chris is supposed to celebrate at the end. To be fair, we did look like that at one point. I mean, we've all been there. It's just a case of I want to get this car as straight as possible. Too much throttle spin. Too much throttle spin. He has just been awarded a drive-through penalty. Don't know what that's for. Could be speeding in the pit lane, I suppose, or it could be track limit. So his race has just gone bad from worse, but his P21 service drive-through, he's still got a chance of taking a good points haul here. He should finish ahead of the GT4 leaders, which I think he'll be happy with. Ian Hall, P12 now. He's 4/10 off Rouse in front, who is that Porsche Cup driver. Let's just jump back on board with Jeff to see how close Yost is. Yost has definitely done some damage to them tyres. He's currently lapping at a 47.9, which is 4/10 of a second slower than Jeff, the car in front. Drew Matthews, P5, having a solid race. He had a solid race. We'll use the English language for this commentary, shall we? Solid race last weekend. He provided some great entertainment for us, especially with that livery. Look at that. Looks amazing. He's got Luke Garr behind him for company, who's just chased him down. Anyone getting deja vu? I believe this happened last week, as he now comes around the Villeneuve complex there, the hairpin, as he heads his way up towards turn 8. Quite fast off camber downhill part of the track. If we go on board with his helmet, you should be able to see what it looks like for him. Nice and early on brakes, keep it in third gear, try and take as much to apex as you can without running too wide here. Track limits, nightmare there. Brake it around the 100 metre board if you can, 50 board if you're really brave. Right, and then again here, don't take too much curb because it'll bounce you out, but don't come too wide either because it'll give you a track limit. As he goes down towards turn 11 and 12 now, braking between the 100 and 50 board for the chicane. Nice and early on the brakes there, take a little bit of curb here, not too much, otherwise it bounces you out. And left again, he got that about perfect, no oversteer on the exit now. Jump back on board with the helicopter as he comes up now towards turn 13, 14 and 15, minding that gravel trap that we saw last week. We have been racing for 16 minutes and your current leader is Louis Arjitsu as he crosses the line to start his 10th lap. Jeff shortly follows behind. That gap is closing, it's down to 1.6 seconds. In fact, I would imagine you can see Arjitsu in front as he's about to get some blue flags, which is going to cause him some nightmares. Yes, not too far behind as well, 2/10 up on this particular occasion. He'll have had the slipstream from Jeff down the main straight, which of course will help him. Jeff dipping that rear tyre into the gravel there, which is not going to help at all. Linking them corners up absolutely perfectly. Yost is on this, but I wonder how much damage he's carrying from his spin. We didn't see him spin, but I'll imagine them tyres have seen better days. That may have forced him to change his pit stop. Remember, you don't have to change your tyres, but he might be. The limiter, wow, we thought it might be, Chris. Plenty of opportunity to make up the places though, if you can hear me. Now you're typing, doesn't matter, you should still finish above them GT4s. That'll be a great result for you and a decent point haul. Ian Hall, 2/10 up on this particular lap, crosses the line to start his 10th lap as well. As he comes up towards the Tamburello complex, Darren Bradbury, the car in front, he's coming through there now. Another great looking Lamborghini car, 739 there, as he now goes up towards turn 5 and 6. Again, some pretty brutal gravel traps around here. Not yet seen much action from them. Yes, really is on the back of that Porsche now. I say that as he's taken a very unique line there, which doesn't involve the track. He will have had to lift it there to avoid the track limit warning. Yes, let's ride on board with his helmet camera, see what things look like from here. Ooh, back end looks a little bit loose there in towards 14 and 15, the double left-hander. Being really careful not to lose it there at all. Can he get a good clean exit here on the back of the Porsche? Porsche is obviously going to get a slipstream from the car in front, which is our Jitsu, who is 1.3 seconds down the road. Foot flat on the floor now, cut both of these little apexes here, starts his 11th lap. See what's going on towards the back of the field now then. Zach Grouse there making his way back up. He's in P9. He's got Jackie Harris's rear bumper in his sights. He's 4/10 down on this particular lap, but he's still lapping in the 50s, which is faster than those cars in front of him. Get Bradbury pre-14 here. He is obviously driving the Lamborghini Super Trofeo himself, the Metalhead Motorsports car number 870 as he comes towards the Sector 3 complex of turns 14 and 15. Got to be careful the dirty air from the Ginetta in front of him does not upset that car. That's the last thing he needs as he goes in towards this particular dodgy part of the track. Harry Bell is still in P18 then, plenty of practice from him. Track temperature now 35 degrees, then tyres will be screaming at some of these cars now. Fourth gear there as he comes out of the exit of turn 8 on the brakes in towards turns 9 and 10, drops it down into third. He may use second if he needs it, shouldn't need to. Nice and lots of throttle on the exit there, heads down towards the chicane of turns 11 and 12. His nearest car for him is Sartana in the Porsche. He's very much having a race of his own at the moment, but he won't mind that too much because he won't have too much place for error. A little bit deep there on the exit of on the entry of 11. Going to use all of that exit there. Fernandez is right behind him, car number 24. Which is now taking him, which will drop Harry into P19. You just see a rear wing there. Harry disappears into the background. Let's have a look at Eric Sartana, the next car on the list for Fernandez. He's in towards the Tamburello chicane as well. He's going to be heading off into the sunset. Let's have a look at Yers now. Let's jump on board with his helmet. You can see Jeff getting away from him there. But no, my mistake. He's taken them both. He's taken them both on the last lap. My timing screen didn't flash up for me there. I missed that. That's a shame. Never mind, as we expected, the car number 37. Yes, with that wonderful livery that he's made today. We're not quite sure the logo's big enough on the side of that car for RDC, but you never know, as he now is stuck behind the McLaren of car number 27. That is going to be Zachary. As he's... that's not a particularly great place to let a car through. He could have gone deeper than that. He could have been more hopeful than that there, but he does pull over to the right-hand side to let the car through. The Porsche of our Jitsu is right on the tail of Yers now. That blue flag has not helped him at all because he's now going to be on the attack in towards 11 and 12. Drew Matthews still P5, and then blue flags are going to help him now. You can just see the blue flags there of Harry Bellows, car number 55, getting out of the way. Staying to the left, the BMW is going to try and go by him. Harry needs to defend that BMW. He is racing car number 96 there. This might be a little bit of an interesting battle. Let's see what Harry can do and whether he can actually catch up with the BMW in front. All depends on how well he can link these next few corners up. Cooper's BMW there, the car number 96, just a little bit too fast on this particular occasion for Harry. The lap times are within the same region of each other. And one thing I can tell you from racing with Harry in personal experience, he is consistent, so any mistakes made up ahead, he will capitalise on them. Ian Hall in P11, a little bit feisty on the exit there, going down towards the 11-12 chicane, but manages to keep things in check. It is worth noting that today he has competed in the 6-hour race of Kyalami with the SOP and Motorsports community, so he has come straight from that to this, so he has done his fair share of Assetto Corsa today. Yes, now just extending that lead a little bit, 1.3 seconds to Jitsu behind, still got his pit stop to serve. We know last week what he did, he went as long as he possibly could. We capitalise on those with the slower pace. Jeff now on the back of the Zachary's McLaren as they now come in towards turn 8, 9 and 10. He's going to be hoping that McLaren gets out of the way. We know it wasn't particularly helpful earlier when the leader was trying to get by. It doesn't look like he's been particularly helpful on this occasion either. Although that said, I may be being unfair on this occasion, but he's still there. Hopefully he's going to stay right here. And he's pulling over to the left. We could have made that a bit easier for Jeff, but oh, blue flags. That is not great. That was not the blue flag there. He really did not make that easy for Jeff at all. Jeff will not be happy about that because it wasn't his fault. His tyres are now cut. Can he keep out of the water? He does, just trying to recover. I would imagine we're now going to see Jeff serve his pit stop. He's going to be really, really upset about that move there. Then blue flags were shown for quite some time and he just did not make it easy for him to get by. I thought he was going to let him over. Then he moved across. Then he backed out again. And then he put his nose on the apex. So I can understand Jeff's confusion there. If you're being blue flagged, just pull over out the way when you can, as quick as you can. There's no need to do. We need to race these people. Jeff's not going to serve his pit stop. He is staying out. Drew Matthews still in P5. Then let's have a look on his rear wing and see if anyone's nearby. He's not. Luke Garr. He's dropped Luke Garr. Moves up into P4. Obviously Jeff's little spin, so he's now going to have a bit of defending to do once Jeff gets on the back of him. We are now 24 minutes into this race and we have got Yurs leading with a Jitsu second, 9/10 off that lead. Andres in the Super Trofeo in P3 and Drew Matthews in P4 having a fantastic race this afternoon. He's not yet put a foot wrong and his lap times are all in the same ballpark as each other. Consistency is key when it comes to racing. Pace is not. Darren Bradbury P9. He's on his 13th lap, just about to start his 14th. Crosses the line, posts a 1:52.9 with a car behind Jackie Harris a 1:54.8. So again, he's got the pace there. Harry Bellis is now in P20. Not sure who he's conceded at position 2 to drop. Chris Davies Springbok has obviously served his pit stop and his drive-through. He's going to be coming up on Harry pretty quick. Don't know whether Harry's going to defend that or what, but we've got to remember that this is a class race. I'm going to leave you on board for a lap with the leader as he is about to start his 15th lap. We'll do a full lap on board. I'll turn the sound up. Let's see what it looks like from his perspective. there is a lap with your leader, Yerst, who is now 3 seconds clear of his next nearest rival as he runs off into the distance as he starts his 16th lap of this race. 47 minutes left to go. The track temperature is going to start to cool down soon as the time is now 5:50 p.m. in game. Yellow flag on track, which is 242. That's Jeff again. That is in the same chicane as before, I believe. It is 11 and 12. Not sure what's happened there. Have a quick look if we've got any damage on that Porsche. Looks like we might have certainly some bodywork damage on the left. Yeah, that's been in the wall, that has. That's well and truly been in the wall. So let's see whether he pits and serves his pit stop. Again, having a fantastic race. That blue flag really did mess him up though, and caused him to spin. And ever since then, his tyres just haven't connected in the way he wants them to. As he comes around now, 14 and 15. Nice and slow on the exit. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him dive into the pits. There he goes. He's going to serve his pit stop now. I'd imagine he'll have his damage repaired and new tyres. Another yellow flag on track. Car number 111. That's Chris Davis. He's round again at the turn 11 and... oh, he's not. He's at 9 and 10. The off-camber corners. This is the one I was talking about earlier. And he's returned to the garage. Harry Bellers is also in the pits. Looks like he's going to serve his pit stop as well now. Don't think we've got any damage on that McLaren. Looks like he's just serving it. Whether he's going to try and break his strategy up a little bit. Drew Matthews there now, P4, 46 minutes left of this race. Yerst is your leader on lap 16 with an 8.8 second lead. He really is starting to stretch his legs. Jeff was P2 for a brief moment, got caught up in the unfortunate incident with the blue flag, who just would not concede the place, which caused him to spin. And then ever since then, his tyres just have not been on point at all. Retirements from the race is Sauna, who has not completed a single lap. He's disconnected from our server this evening. Drew Matthews Lamborghini looks absolutely amazing. Let's jump on board with some of the Bradburys. Let's jump on board with Darren, car 739. He's on the back of Cross there, the Porsche, the GT4. Shouldn't have no issues at clearing that, you'd like to think, but I think he might have been behind it for a while, so that Porsche is obviously being put exactly where he doesn't want it to be put. Kirk Bradbury, he's on his 16th lap as well, car 870. He had a particularly good race last week, keeping up the pace with Darren. A little bit further up the road, he comes down now towards turn 8, 9 and 10. Very particularly difficult complex if you get it wrong. Overdriving the car, Chris, was there. Jeff's had an unfortunate incident as well, and he was doing really well, but one of the blue flags, unfortunately, let's say, positioned himself in the worst place possible, causing Jeff to spin, and then his tyres just haven't been with him ever since he got back on the track. We're on board with Ian Hall now as he comes up towards 14 and 15. Let's jump aboard the helicopter. Pinky 87 there. Takes a lot of that curve there. Looking at it, didn't bounce him out onto that gravel, and again, yeah, absolutely fine now as he's about to... ooh, that BMW does not have a very slidey rear end as we've seen previously. Darren Bradbury then, he's in a bit of a race of his own at the minute. Still on the back of that Porsche of Cross, car number 87 as they go through the Tamburello chicane. A little bit deep there, touching the gravel with his nose. Luckily, he's got that buffer behind him, not to cause him too many issues. His next nearest car is Jackie Harris, who is 3 seconds back. That gap has not been updated. But that will be a lot closer. Now he's been through the gravel. Kurt Bradbury then as well. He's on the back of Jackie Harris. He'll be looking at Darren in front, thinking that's where I want to be. So that's his pace. Their pace is relatively matched. Their both fastest laps are in the mid 51s as it stands at the moment. Luke Garr, P5. He's got Porsche for company on his tail. David Hulbert is the Lamborghini, is the nearest competitor for him. Drew Matthews then, P4, comfortably running in P4, might I add. The car number 13 as he starts his 18th lap of this Imola HFG Transatlantic Triple Crown Series. That is round 2, 3 miles of Imola, 75 minutes. Before we head off to round 3 next week again. That Lamborghini does look amazing with its sponsorship of, I think that's Ryobi, the sponsorship on the side of that. Yeah, track temperature's just started to drop, Chris. I know that's not what you want to hear now you're out the car, but that is the situation it's facing here. Cross there, just keeping everything at bay. Jump on board with his rear wing. just starting to pull away from Darren Bradbury, who won't be very happy with himself after he closed that gap right up and just going a little bit deep into Tamburello there on the previous lap. Jackie Harris there, no one else for company on the back of Darren. He has got Jackie Harris hunting him down, lapping very similar lap times. Has gone board with Ian Hall then. He's the car number 88 again. He's done the 6-hour race this afternoon. He's now doing 75 minutes of Imola. He's going to be ready for bed after he's done this race, I should imagine, as he now starts his 18th lap of this Imola race. Nice and early on the brakes for him. Don't want to be locking up. BMW's a bit lively on the rear end. We've seen that a few times where we have to try and catch it. And there's another example there, just a little bit lively on the rear. Do not want to be losing any time to that at all. Let's jump a bit further back there in the rear. The time that's from the race so far is Chris Davis in the pits and Saunders. They're both retired from this race. Alberto is running P21. His lap time, fastest lap time so far, is a 58 dead. Moving further forward, we've got Sartana P19 as they come up now towards the turns 5 and 6 chicane, down towards Villeneuve hairpin. Matthew Mudd, P14, had a particularly good race last week. Couple of spins, but recovered them and drove consistently throughout. He comes up towards turn 8 then, downshift into third, hook it up with the inside of that apex if he can. Just knock it down there, going to try and, they are linked up a little bit understeer there. Looks like the front was washing out on that Porsche. It's unusual because normally you see Porsche spinning with the rear end overtaking its front, so it's not a bad problem to have. Nice and early on the brakes there, gear 2. Quickly cycle through the gear back up to 3 and now towards 11 and 12 chicane. Kurt Bradbury P11 now. He's right on the back of Jackie Harris and he's going to say yes please, I'll have that position, and then the next Bradbury is just up the road from me. So you can see these three are starting to bulge up, going forward with the helicam as they're about to start their 19th lap of this race. Darren Bradbury crosses the line and he's about to post a 1:52.915 with Kurt doing a 1:51.6. Kurt is the faster car at the moment. Darren holding his own now, with Jackie Harris being the jam in that jam sandwich. We've got a car off their yellow flag. Looks like that's going to be the Porsche Cup car of... Bear me when my timing screen updates. It's the other Porsche Cup car that we've got in the mix, which I think is Grouse, I believe. It is. There he is there. Just back on the track there now. Oh, he's got that line wrong there. That's going to cook his tyres. Luckily, he's still got his pit stop to do, but whether he was going to change the tyres... Evening, buddy. The race is good. We've got a fair bit of mix-up so far. Yerster span, as he predicted, but managed to make his way back up to P1. Jeff was up there, but had an unfortunate incident with one of the back markers, which has sent him back down the table. He has served his pit stop there, which is going to go along. We're currently watching a lovely little battle with the Bradburys here. Ooh, I'll say that. Let's get back on board with that. Is round. That is the commentator's curse, and I apologise for that. Darren is round on the apex there of turns 9 and 10 on the way up towards the chicane. As he now rights it, he's going to lose some places here though, because he can't rejoin with that. Looks like Ian Hall coming through there. It is. And he's now going to be on his way up, and he's dropped down to P12. I think that'll put him in. He will be disappointed. He was having a great race up until that point. To Darren, P8 apparently, but I think that's going to drop down a little bit more. Drew Matthews, P4. P4, he's having a great race. We saw him last week, very consistent, on the ball all the time. We've got 35 minutes gone with 39 left to go. The vast majority of the field still to serve their pit stops. Linking up the apexes there nicely. I did think we were missing that wonderful Wild Things livery actually when I was doing the grid walk, so I'm glad you popped in. I know, Chris, I know I did it again. Last week I did it 3 times, and then the RDC one I did it 4 times. So the RDC endurance race on 4 separate occasions of different teams. I said how well they were doing, and literally within a lap they all span. So maybe I should start saying everyone's doing awfully. Yeah, Drew, you're doing awfully. So we don't want you to spin, so he's having a cracking race there. On a serious note, he's really on top of that. He was asking about blue flags, I believe, earlier. I'm not sure why he was asking about them, because he ain't going to see any of them this evening. Not with just a little bit further up the road then, as he's now on his 21st lap. As they're now going up towards turn 8. Just right on board with his helmet cam as he'll drop it in to 3rd or 4th. depending on the Porsche. He's a third gear man. It's a bit different depending on who you are. Runs it out nice and tight to the line there, down the hill in towards this great but very dangerous part of the track with double right-hander. As you can see, there's a little bit of corrective steering needed just to get the Porsche under control. Put flat on the floor now down towards the 11 and 12 chicane. Absolutely solid there. You can tell that by his lead. Steve Engeres is the next nearest car to him, which means our Jitsu must have had a spin. You can tell the heat is really getting to them tyres out there today because we're getting spinners left, right and centre. Our Jitsu is right on the back of that Super Trofeo, and Steve will be really happy with that. The car number 5 as he goes down towards 9 and 10 complex now. Matt Cooper then going down towards the Tamburello chicane. Currently running in P17, but his next nearest threat to him is Fernandez, who's a little bit further back, and he has got Zach Grouse a little bit further up the line in the Super Trofeo, who is now going to be chasing after. And as you can see there, that is quite solid through there. Zach's struggling with that Porsche this afternoon. I don't believe he raced last week, so it might be still some acclimatisation for the car number 11 there as he goes up towards turn 8 now. Luke Garvin in P5, he's chasing down Drew Matthews. Say chasing down, Drew is very much in control of that Lamborghini and he shows no sign of conceding that place to Luke at any point. You see Drew there come around turns 15, he's going to flip the he's going to pit. Didn't expect that so soon, so that's an interesting move. You can see a little lock up there as he goes in towards the pit lane. Unfortunately, we don't get super fast Formula 1 pit stops like we do in Formula 1 for GT3 cars, so we won't watch his pit stop. We'll jump back on board with Steve as he starts his 22nd lap. Louis R. Jitsu managed to take that P2 place back, so as I predicted, there must have been a spin there. Of course, I have a new rig. Finally got my V3. The V3s are amazing, mate, and you'll be surprised how much the rumble motors. I thought they were going to be a novelty, and I wasn't going to know any different with them. And actually, especially in the wet, they're amazing. Don't know whether you've had rumble motors before on your pedals, but absolutely love mine. How GT3 rim? No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, dial in that new gear. Drew Matthews, obviously P5 now serving his pit stop behind the retired Lamborghini there of Chris Davis Springbok, the car number 111, who had a fantastic race last week, but did not finish through no fault of his own. Yes, now leading the way by a significant margin. His next nearest rival is about to lap, in fact. I should say, his car number 11 now, which will be a Zach, I would think. Rouse, he's going to lap them sooner rather than later, as the blue flags are now going to let him through. Let's just see how these blue flags fare up for the Trofeo in front. The Lamborghini going to get out of the way for him. And there goes, yes, making it be offline there for that chicane. That shouldn't bother him too much. Next blue flag is going to be any moment now. He's not quite within a second though. He's 0.8 now, so the blue flag should be any time. Going to go wide there. Jackie Harris in the 159 Lamborghini heading up towards turn 8. Let's go back a bit further down the grid. Give me a moment because my mouse decided to do a little walk off. P10 for Ian Hall. He is making his way around now. He is yet to pit as well. So Matthews has taken his pit stop, putting back in P8. He just needs to make sure he's got that pace, not to be overcut like he was last week. He's going for the undercut this particular occasion. Jeff, P15, had a great start, but unfortunately cooked his tyres in an instant through no fault of his own. Currently holding that P15 position, and his pace is still representative of the other Porsche Cup cars, but he's just too far back now to make up them places, so he may have to settle for P3 in class, but hopefully overall he can work his way through the field. Ian Hall there, P10. He is not the current GT4 leader like we saw last week, and that is currently Porsche 87 of Cross, who is P5. Well, on board with Ian for a short while. silence there, I am back, and we're riding on board with Ian Hall, who is on lap 24 of this semi-final race of Imola round 2. That temperature now 34, that temperature just starting to come down. Drew Matthews has made up one of his places that he lost to his pit stop. He was P4, remember. He's now all over the back of that course that should be getting blue flags anyway, or is it not? That may be the GT4 of Cross, which it is. But he's going to obviously just let straight through on that particular occasion as he takes the apex of turns 11 and 12. Through back up into P6. David is his next target. He has pitted. He has pitted with Drew not far behind. Let's just see, that undercut didn't quite work as planned, and he's been overcut again. He won't be particularly happy with that. That's 2 weeks in a row he's been overcut, so maybe next week, Drew, it's time for the undercut. Who knows? Luke Garb, P4, still gets pit, car number 16, as he now comes up towards the back end of the circuit with turns 11 and 12. The vicious chicane. Don't take too much curb on the entry, otherwise it bounces you out into that curb on the left. And before you know it, you're having an appointment with that wall directly in front of you. Drew now P6. He's fighting his way through the field. Got BMW in front of him of Matt Cooper, as he's going to try and go around the outside there. Going to try and put it up the inside now instead. Perfect through the Tamburello chicanes 4, 5, 6 as he now heads down towards the Villeneuve hairpin, making his way towards on the back of that Lamborghini of David Hull. But we're going to run on the back with David for a little bit, because I've got a feeling the pace difference here with Drew, we may see an overtake any moment now, which will put him back up into his net P4, which he'll be really happy about. Steve still leading the way for the Super Trofeos though. See now, Drew really is on the back of that Lamborghini of David Hulbert there, as he now comes up towards the turn 11 and 12 chicane. Oh, much better exit there for Drew, as he's now going to try and send it. I would have thought on the straight he's going to be, as he gets a good exit out of 11 and 12, he's going to be in the perfect place to make this move. That looks okay to me, looks nice and tidy there. Again, much better exit there for Drew. Lamborghini pulling away a little bit. Let's come on board with the helicopter. That might give us a better angle of what this looks like at the moment. Or better still, let's ride on board with Drew himself. touch a bit too far back on this occasion, but one mistake there from David, and Drew is going to say thank you very much. I'm having that place. Let's just check on the leader at the moment. Yes, there, because significantly there, he's still a lap ahead. The next nearest car to him is actually just going around turn 15 now. So he is comfortable. He's still got his pit stop to serve, but knowing yes, he will get himself comfortably ahead, serve his pit stop, cross the line, win the race, and put his feet up. So back on board with Drew and David. As you can see, they come now towards turn 7. A little bit wide there for Drew. He's lost a lot. He's lost a lot of time there on the grass, but luckily he lifted so it didn't damage the car or pull it into the wall. A little bit further back, Matt Cooper and P17 having a nice little consistent race here for Metalhead Red Bull Racing. Not sure the Red Bull is the full Untitled sponsorship, but we will call it what it is for the time being. The car number 96 heads up towards turn 8 on the back of that Bradbury Lamborghini. Now with 24 minutes left to go, over half the field have served their pit stops. Your top 4 have not, and your mid-pack battle haven't either. The Bradburys are together on track again, albeit spread out, but they are together in terms of overall position. Drew Matthews is managed to catch up with the back of that Lamborghini again. All that work he did to catch up with the DTH Racing Lamborghini, he's had to put back in again due to running wide on the exit of turn 7. And, a little bit of gravel there for the 329 Lamborghini of David. This GT4 is not going to be helping at all. This is the GT4 we saw earlier. He's going to hopefully pull out of the way for the 2, but you can see Drew there using the slipstream there all that he can. Jump aboard the helicopter there. Drew pulls out to try and take the slipstream now from the Lamborghini of David in front. Clears the GT4, doesn't need to worry about that. Hopefully that is a nice clean corner for the GT4 and doesn't cause the boys in front too much trouble there. A little bit late on the brakes for Drew as he comes now, tries to put it up the inside. Too far back on this particular occasion again. Nice and tidy on the exit, hasn't lost too much time. Let's see what he can do on this lap. Let's not forget about the rest of the race. We will revisit that very shortly though. Ian Hall there having a nice race on his own. He is currently P1 his class. He is yet to serve his pit stop though. That's important to remember. And I need to work out where he is going to come out roughly. But let's not forget too much about this Drew Matthews battle here. As they now come out, Drew keeps it much tidier on that occasion. They're not too far back. The Logitech rear ring there of the Drew Matthews car number 13. Heads up towards turn 8. He's having to do all that work again because he lost a little bit of time through turn 7. Links up in towards 8. Nice and tidy there. You can see that Lamborghini in front is just struggling to make the corners a little bit much more. Whether that's setup or whether that is driver confidence with the track temperature, 33 degrees. These guys have been running now for over 52 minutes. Sorry, alongside goes Drew. Going to try and make it stick if he can as he goes round towards turns 11 and 12 in the chicane. Nice and late on the brakes. Nice, clean, clinical, well executed. Drew will be very happy with that. Moves up into P5. He's now going to set his sights on our Jitsu, who is the Porsche in front, car number 17, who is just the other side of the track. He's still got his pit stop to serve. That is going to be very tight indeed. We'll keep an eye on when that comes in. Steve there, P2, still got to serve his pit stop, 4/10 up on this particular occasion. There is nothing wrong with his tyres, clearly, to still be banging in those lap times. 20 minutes remains now for this Imola round 2 of the HFG Triple Crown Transatlantic Series. It is a Sunday night here in the UK. It's a Sunday afternoon over in the States. And there's still a lot to play for with 20 minutes left of this race. We've only lost 2 drivers during this competition this evening, and that is Sauna and Davis, both through no faults of their own particularly. Jackie Harris, P13, having a nice race there. Got the Ginetta in, we've got the Chevrolet in front of him, sorry, but he's got a pit stop, he won't be too worried about that. Jeff's made his way back up into P10 in that Cup car. Not particularly a great place for him considering he's there through no fault of his own, but he'll be happy because he's making them places up, and tonight's race is all about the fun aspect. As long as you've had fun, you've had a good race. That's the way to look at it. Drew Matthews there, 10th down in his lap. Let's hope he's not taking too much out of his tyres on this side. I tell you what, David is coming back at him a little bit more than I expected. I expected Drew to get by and just drive off. Their lap times are very representative of each other. That battle might not be done there. much cleaner exit there, 10-15 for Drew on that particular occasion. Should be have a big enough gap there for the car behind not to have any advantage over the slipstream, although he is half a second up on this lap. But he's going to be too far back. The only thing that could cause Drew an issue is these back markers that he is fast approaching. You can see the blue flags there out for the cars in front, Porsche and Porsche. Hopefully they clear out of his way for him pretty sharpish. To hold him up, they want to just try and stay left here if they can. Car number 6 there pulls left perfectly. That's how you should deal with blue flags. Porsche punches a bit, but I won't expect him to pull out of the way just yet. He's a bit further back, but equally you'll be careful of this dirt here. Hopefully this one goes a little bit deep on this occasion there, allowing Drew to cut back. He doesn't. Interesting move there from the car number 511 of Matthew Mudd. There you go, pulls out of the way nicely and cleanly there. David Hulbert there a little bit further back. That's helped Drew out lovely there. So yes, now still leading the way. We go back on board with yes, we know exactly where he is. He's P1. He's getting ready to put the kettle on and sit down after this race. With 19 minutes left to go. Still with his pit stop to serve, but at the moment his pit stop is the other side of the track from him, so therefore I think he'll be pretty confident with that. Luke Garr then P3, still got a pit along with Arjitsu, and Drew Matthews is there hunting them down there, and he's thinking he's going to have himself a nice podium finish, maybe. P4 at best as it stands at the moment, depending on his pace. Drew Matthews P5, Albert P6, and then you've got the Bradley boys, they are P7 and P8 as they come up towards 10, 11 and 12. That McLaren again not particularly great on the blue flags, and luckily avoiding any contact. I mustn't be too negative about the blue flag handling. It's very different when you're actually driving these cars, but it's very easy to say off poorly. Should have just got out of the way, but Darren there a bit further back. He's coming towards 11 and 12 now. He's on the back of the Luke Garr Lamborghini, obviously on a different lap to him. Luke is on lap 31 and Darren is on lap 30. Jeff P9 now, he's made up another place overall. He's picking off that field lovely. He's now going to work his way through the Super Trofeos until he gets onto the back of Arjitsu, as he's now coming in towards 14 and 15. Very back of the grid, Harry Bellis is in the pit stop. He's on lap 26. I'm hoping that's not a retirement, but it could be based on his timing screen. Alberto Fernandez, he is on his 29th lap of this race around Imola with 17 minutes left to go. He's 2 tenths up on this lap and he's lapping around those with him. It's not over for him just yet. He now starts his 30th lap. Let's just run involved with Yersin, who's in the 5-6 complex down towards the Villeneuve chicane, hairpin. 16 minutes left to go. We're at 58 minutes in. We're an hour into this race, and we've had lead change on several occasions. And that midfield battle has got spicy at times. Drew now chasing down Arjitsu, who is in the turns 11 and 12 chicane. Jitsu spun around there. He just overcooked it on the chicane, which is what he didn't want to do. His engine is silent. It sounds like he's stalled to me. Let's just go on board with the helicopter to see what that damage looks like, because this may well now put Drew Matthews on the podium, which is what he would be very happy with that, as he now comes around towards 14-15. Obviously, our Jitsu and Gar and Endres have still got to pit, so that may well be podium for Drew Matthews now as he starts his 32nd lap as he comes around the back end of the circuit. Kurt Bradbury P7 and Jeff is in P8. What's happened to Darren down in P10? It looks like Jackie Harris has recently overtaken him by the looks of my timing screen. Jeff P8 is working his way through the field. Next on his list, Kurt Bradbury, who's a second down on his particular lap. Yost is in the pits. Steve Endres is going to stay out or pit. Let's see whether he responds to the car in front. The Canadian driver today won the class last week. His strategy paid off big time. Phenomenal strategy, in fact. He's going to pit. He's going to follow the leader. As Yost serves his 32-second pit stop, he will be off the jacks any point now. There he goes. And off he drives. And there is the South African's car on the right-hand side of your screen there. Luke Gar come back to cross the line and start his 34th lap, moves up into P2. Very long pit lane here, takes an age to get down. And our net leader then is Luke Gar. Still yet to pit, of course. So we saw that spin there, and Yost in P2. Just goes to show you what sort of gap he had. He's on the same part of the track as the car that's overtaken him after serving his pit stop. So all he's got to do is keep himself calm for the next 13 minutes, and he'll have himself another race win for the HFG Transatlantic Triple Crown Series at Imola tonight. Steve Endres P3. He's served his pit stop. We know that he's going to come out in front of Drew Matthews. We've still got Gar to serve that pit stop, with Drew eyeing up P4 if he can overtake our Jitsu, who has pitted. So Drew will make that move now. As you can see him drive past him in the pit lane, he's moved up into P4. That's a great result for him if he can make it stick. Got 12 minutes left to go of this race. Hopefully he can line everything up and keep that P4 finish for him. 2 weeks in a row he's had a great race. Jackie Harris P11 had a very consistent race as well, lapping in the mid-50s as he now works his way down towards Villeneuve. Hairpin there up towards 10, 8, 9 and 10. We know that Lamborghini handles quite well through there. We've seen it all night. Well, the only thing that has worried me slightly in terms of that part of the track is the BMW of Ian Hall. Very lively rear end. Let's just have a little look on board with him as he now goes up to this part of the track. See what sort of corrective measures he has to put in that steering wheel. He's served his pit stop and he's P3 in class. Kurt Bradbury has been handed a 30-second penalty, stop-go penalty, and that will be speeding in the pit lane. That really has just completely ruined his race after the Metalhead Motorsports driver has had a great race. With P8, he's going to have to stop and serve that. Jeff's overtaken his work and he's now overall in P7. With 10 minutes left to go of this race, we really are in for a bit of a treat now of how this is going to shape up. 30 seconds to serve. I don't know where that's going to put him. My timing screen's a little bit out of joint, so I'll just step forward. He'll have 3 laps to serve that, otherwise he'll receive a more severe penalty at the end of the race or a disqualification, depending on the rules and regulations, of course. Cross, who's one of those people that's definitely going to benefit from that penalty, as he now comes through turn 8 as well. Going to get caught up in the dirty air of that Lamborghini in front, running a little bit wide there as he goes down towards 9 and 10. Now, Dan Bradbury P12 there. Obviously, the other Bradbury has got his 30-second stop go. He should also inherit a place from that penalty once served. As he goes up towards turn 8 now. He's going to break around 100 metre board straight into third gear. Touch that curb, hopefully, and then try and keep it in the rear end there, just getting away from him a little bit, just sort of gliding around in hall P13. And he's got the Chevrolet that's still yet to pit. Hopefully he will come away with P2 in class if all goes well. He's drove a solid race, and remember, he has also done 3 hours of a 6-hour race this afternoon around Qualy, so he is very much ready for a rest after this. Drew Matthews P4. Which we knew he was going to be really happy with. His next nearest place is David Hilbar, who is a little bit of a distance back, 6 seconds back, and I would have thought that will finish in that way. Their lap times are bang on, so we're not really going to see much of a gap change there at all. Luke Garr is serving his pit stop as he comes out on the pit line. He's going to be racing on exit, I think, with Endres, who has obviously already gone past into the Cambarello complex, and he works his way now. The next time he is going to have a heavy braking point will be the Villeneuve chicane. Drew Matthews there about to start his 36th lap of the evening or afternoon, depending on where you're situated today. David's about to start his 36th lap as well, as he's chasing down Drew Matthews for that P4 place. It's worth noting about the Porsche Cup cars are a little bit jumbled up down the board this afternoon. So the Super Trofeos really are benefiting from that point haul at the top of that list. Not very often this happens in a series of this type. We're a little bit loose there on the exit of turn 1. Rear wheel catching on the curb there. Jeff up into P7. He's about to start his 36th lap as well. He'll be very happy with his progress so far, given the circumstances he was presented with. Jackie Harris up into P9 as he goes towards turn 8 now into third gear. Second gear on this occasion, a little bit too much speed there for him. Manages to make it round without any time loss at all. Nice on the brakes there. Into third gear. Keep it nice and steady. You can see the car there wanting to push out to the left. And it does the same here. It's got to be really careful you don't push yourself out too wide on the yellow curves, otherwise you will give yourself a track limit warning. Let's see where Kurt Brokers ended up after his little 30-second stop go. He is P15, P8 to P15. So Matthew Mudd, Wilson Grubb, Paul Bradbury, Jackie Harris Cross have all benefited from that speeding in the pit lane incident. They've gained one position this afternoon in this 75-minute race of Imola. Ian Hall there now back into P2 in class. I think it's going to be a little bit unrealistic for him to catch up with Cross, who is starting his 37th lap as he comes into the Tamburello complex of this there, hitting the apexes perfectly. Take too much thinking there about it as it jets you off into these gravel traps there, just dipping the outside tyres there. Darren Bradbury P10 about to start his 36th lap as he crosses the line and sets a 1:53.462. He's got a bit of a race on his own there. He has got the 13 car behind him now of Drew Matthews, who will be getting some blue flags to get him out of the way in a moment, as he still manages to maintain P4. Wilson there in P13 in this Ginetta. What I personally do not enjoy riding this car at all, so full respect to him from there. Car number 86 there, he's just started his 37th lap as well. Kurt Bradbury still in his out lap. 2 minutes 42 that was there, as you can imagine. 30 seconds slower plus the pit stop time as well. Fernandez P18. Remember, it's important to note that he started from the pit lane, so any result for him he's going to be happy with. Giving himself in the points, bit of corrective measure there needed on the exit in towards Villeneuve hairpin. Matt Cooper there, car number 17, on the gravel here. This is what I mentioned earlier, it's really hard there to recover that if you run too wide because of how deep the gravel is, so he's just kept that tidy there on the exit of 15 after losing it into 14. Yes, P1 there on the back of that other BMW for him. It's just going to get out of the way. Let's have a look at what it looks like inside the car for him. That gap there is now substantial, as I mentioned earlier, as Steve is his nearest rival. The car number 5 Lamborghini there, the Canadian driver this afternoon, as he now brings it up towards turn 8. Yes, is a very long way down the road, so I think Steve will be hanging on for that P2 podium position with 5 minutes left to go of this race. With the current lap times, that will give us 3 laps to go, including the one that the leader is currently on. Drew Matthews still holding on to P4 there. Louis Arjitsu is a little bit further back. I don't think we're going to see much there unless we see a mistake from the American driver in front. Jeff up to P7. On board with the cameras now, TV cameras as they come around. They're a little bit wide there, just kicking up off the back of that Porsche to go down towards the chicane of 5 and 6. Number 16 there, Luke Garr had a fantastic start to finish there. He's managed to hook up every corner and apex that he wanted to. About to cross the line to start his 39th lap as well. Yost is a 10th up on this particular occasion as he now comes down towards turn 8, 9 and 10 as well. Arjitsu they're running some damage on the front of that Porsche, as you can see. With the Porsche, not important to forget, is Zach Rouse at the car number 11, the yellow Porsche as he comes through 11 and 12 on the back of that. Ginetta now down towards turns 13, 14 and 15, the downhill off-camber part of the track. Particularly difficult if you miss that braking point now. That Ginetta's going to put him offline, and as you can see there, it really did mess up his braking point. Lock in the front left and into the gravel there. That's exactly what I was just saying was going to happen, because that Ginetta put him offline as he tried to pass it, so now he's going to have to run wide. I don't think he has lost a place to that. Can he get going again? Looks like he's a little bit stuck in that gravel trap there. As he keeps going, he's dropping down the board. We'll see where he is in a minute. Worth noticing that Yost is 5 tenths up on this particular lap. He's about to cross the time with an even improved fastest lap. His current is a 47.0. He's just done a 46.7. That is the pace that he has still got in them tyres there. 3 minutes left to go. 2 laps to go, including this lap. Can Yost bring home a second victory at the HFG Round 2 Transatlantic Triple Crown Series? Steve is also moving up now towards turns 13, 14 and 15, where we saw Zach earlier just lock up the front left because the Ginetta put him slightly offline. Dan Bradbury in P10. Bradbury .2. It's worth noting that Kurt is up into P14 with Matthew Mudd in front of him, and you can just see the Porsche there of Jeff as well in the front of him. Ian Hall P11, P2 in class, going through turns 10 down towards the chicane of 11 and 12. We need to start bringing more drink with me when I do this, because I'm starting to run out and my throat is becoming incredibly dry. This is again at 10th up on this lap. We're going to get a nice little stream there from the car number of Bradbury in front. I forget which one that is. It's not that one, it will be Kurt then, won't it? And as he comes through turns 11 and 12 himself, 1 minute 54 of this race left. Yost will come around turn 14 and 15 and start the final lap. I don't think we're going to get any last lap battles. I think we're more or less set in our ways. Work my way through the grid to make sure we're not going to miss anything. Jeff there is going to be on the back of Horvath soon, but not soon enough, not with 1 lap to go. Jackie Harris there having a great race again. D9 inherited that place from the stop and go of the Bradbury. He'll be very happy with that. Ian Hall P11. Just going to, yeah, keeps it nice and tidy on that Astra, which is absolutely lethal when it's raining, it's worth noting. Yes, now starts the final lap of this race. And Porsche goes deep there rather than taking out the leader. I think that was a 50-50 choice there, and he made the right one as he now comes up towards crossing sector 1 line as he now goes through towards the Villeneuve hairpin. Arjitsu's 3 tenths up on this lap, but unfortunately he's not going to catch Drew Matthews, who is now working his way around the back end of the track. He'll have 1 more lap to go after this because the leader is still behind. ...41 laps 75 minutes, 1 pit stop, several spins, a few yellow flags, a few white flags. We've had tyres overheating, tyres squaring off. We've had side-by-side battles, slipstreaming, undercuts, the overcuts. So this race has had everything you would expect from a HFG event, and much more than that to come as well. With 10 seconds left on this race, let's jump back on board with the leader as he comes up towards 13, 14 and 15. The nice little corner complex here. So yes, as I was saying, we've had everything in this race, including the spins, the tyre lockups, the contact, the blue flag back markers. We've had the gravel traps, we've had running wide, and we've had the spin from the leader. Yes, he's about to take the final corner as he heads down towards the straight checkered flag for the second round of the HFG Transatlantic Series. And that is P1 for him as he crosses the line and takes that checkered flag. You can see the flag being waved for him there. He will be over the moon with that result, considering he span at the beginning of that race. Steve Enderes will be next to cross the line. He's still got a fair old amount of his lap to go. On board with the helicopter as he's going to take turns. 14 now, takes that tiny dipping a little bit into the gravel there, more than he would have wanted to, and he's going to take a bit of gravel there, I would think, because he's out of alignment now, as he's now going to cross the line to take P2, which he will be over the moon with, and P1 in class. PT overall, he'll be really happy with that. Luke Garn next to cross the line. He just comes past the pit entry now. He's going to take P3 and P2 in class. Again, someone else that will be over the moon with that result. Goes to cross the line now and takes the checkered flag. Drew Matthews, we've seen him try the overcut on the undercut on several occasions. It's not paid off. He's had to work for it afterwards. Next week, I suspect he might try the overcut, but nevertheless, he got that place back. He well deserved it. Takes P4 overall. He'll be chuffed with that. Aljitsu again, unfortunately, had a little bit of spinning and a few errors, but again, it takes P5 overall, P2 in class. David is next to cross the line. He's done a fantastic job this afternoon, and Jeff, we can see there in the pit lane as well. He has finished his race, and that is everyone across the line apart from Ian Hall, who is just coming across the grid boxes now, and he will take P2 in class as well, which is a fantastic result for him. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your final standings for the second round of the HFG Half-Fast Gaming Transatlantic Triple Crown Series at Imola. And I think that definitely provided all of the entertainment that you would have wanted. We had the undercut, the overcut, the spinning, the tyre overheating, the squaring the tyres off, the locking the tyres up, the contact, the side-by-side battles, and you couldn't ask for much more from that race. I will put the highlights on for anyone now that's going to drop in later and watch them. And I will thank everyone for dropping by and watching this stream. I'll be back next Sunday for the same time of around 3. And I'm going to bring a more drink with me next week, so I'm not dying of thirst. So thank you very much everyone for joining me, and I will see you next week. That was a fantastic race, and I'm already looking forward to the next one.